I have a serious question, guys. Is the C8 Corvette a supercar or not? And before you jump to the comments, I know there's a lot of people that instantly have an opinion that it's not. I want to give you some reasons why this discussion is actually a little bit more complicated than you might think. Today, we're gonna go for a drive in the C8 Corvette Stingray and talk about, is this worthy of the title of being a supercar? And let's start with reason number one for why this is more complicated than you think, which is, first of all, the way that this car looks. Guys, if you are going to sit here and say that the C8 Corvette does not have the design of a supercar, then there's something wrong with you, honestly. We'll talk about the main problem, which is the production numbers of the C8 Corvette in a moment. But yes, you see these often. You see these everywhere. I do, at least. That might be a little bit of an overstatement, but these are very common cars to spot out on the road, which is a problem in the ability to classify this as a supercar. But if you set that aside and just take the design of this car for what it is, this sits, I would put this right next to a Lamborghini Huracan. I would put this right next to a Ferrari 488. I'd put this right next to a McLaren 570S or 600 LT. This, first of all, on the box of design, right? There's a lot of different boxes that a car has to check in order to classify it as a supercar. Design is absolutely one of them, and it holds a lot of weight in the supercar classification, in my opinion. For me, that is a solid green check mark with classifying this as a supercar. But there's a lot more than just the looks of a car. Next, I want to talk about the performance of this thing. Does this perform like a supercar? And this may take you by a little bit by surprise. We are in the Stingray, remember, we're not in the Z06. The Z06, there is actually a channel out there on YouTube that just records races of his Z06 versus supercars, and it beats a lot of them. So performance-wise, in the Z06, absolutely solid green check mark. In the Stingray, it's a little bit more difficult. In terms of launching this car, accelerating from first, second, and third gear, let me show you right now, actually. Sport mode, double tap the traction button, slam the brakes, slam the gas. Watch what this does. If that is not supercar for performance, I have no idea what does. If you cannot call that supercar performance, just throw the Lamborghini Huracan out the window for being a supercar. Throw a few Ferraris out the window for being they cannot be considered a supercar anymore. This launches as good, if not better, than the $250,000 Porsche 911 GT3 Touring that I drove. What more do I have to say? It's been about a year since I've driven the C8 Corvette Stingray. I picked this thing up, ready to drive it, thinking to myself, this isn't going to be that exciting of an experience. And it turns out, I could not have been more wrong. I could not have been more wrong. Very rarely do I hop in a car that gives me that like feeling of being a kid, or because when I first really was into cars, I remember going to a dealership and sitting inside of a Mustang GT and just starting it up and thinking to myself, I would probably sell a kidney to buy this thing. It gave me like that feeling. And since we've been experiencing so many different cars, it is hard to find a car that gives me that feeling. And so the last thing I was expecting was for a $60,000 base model C8 Corvette Stingray to give me that feeling again. And it did. It absolutely, it does. Sorry, it does. And I've done multiple launches in the last like 40 hours that I've had with this car. And every time, I'm blown away by how fast, how grippy, how insane It is of an experience to accelerate this thing from a stop. And there's more than just going from a stop, right? How about like rolling at, I feel like on average, a lot of people will accelerate from around 40. So let's go to 40. We should be able to do second gear here. Ready? That is still absolutely insane. Insane. The car is so smooth in its power delivery and its dual clutch transmission shifts that it is hard to realize that you are accelerating as fast as you are. I only truly realize how insane it is when I do go from a dig or from a stop. When I do accelerate from second gear, 40 miles an hour, it's like, okay, this thing moves. But I don't necessarily get that like hard dropping sensation, adrenaline rush from accelerating the car. And let's go from 55 here, third gear. It still is a phenomenal feeling, truly. You can't need more than this, and even this much power accelerating is like, it's borderline unusable for like standard road conditions like we're on right now. Gosh, guys, does the C8 Corvette Stingray check the box for acceleration? Matching the acceleration of a supercar? Off of the line, yes. After about 50 miles an hour, I don't know. I'm comparing this to like the Lamborghini Huracan and the Ferrari 488, and it is genuinely so much closer than it should be. It's scary, very scary how close this is to those cars. Just because it's really not as fast feeling as those cars after 50. I would say no when I'm already rolling. So to me, I'd put like a little dash. Like, I'll let you decide. If you've driven one, you know how insane this is. But just know that the performance, the acceleration of this car should not be as good as it is for the price tag that it is charging. And actually, let's take a right here so we can corner this thing and talk about can this be classified as a supercar in terms of its steering and cornering. First and foremost, steering, I love the way it feels just going around and even when you're in your own lane, you just kind of want to like do one of these because it feels so sharp and so good at a traffic circle. So let's really, oh my gosh, that's insane, insane. Did I mention this has all season tires on it yet? Because if not, I'm checking the box that this corners and steers like a supercar, without a doubt. I can only imagine what a C8 Corvette Stingray would do in the corners with proper tires and not having it be almost Christmas time here. Let's see if we lose any traction with traction control off going from first gear. Wait, messed that up a little bit. Let's do it again. The key for the car just shot out of my pocket from the G-forces on accelerating from first gear. No traction loss, literal perfection. Perfection. Steering, yes. Cornering, yes. Looks, yes. In terms of its acceleration power, again, kind of like a dash because off the line, yes, but once you're already rolling, if I'm being picky, then no. Okay, but let's get into the part where a lot of people say it's not a supercar. So let's actually start with the build quality of the C8 Corvette. First and foremost, right away, one of the things I recommend if you want to look for if a car is reliable is look to find high mileage examples. And if you can, then the cars that you're looking at can get to that mileage, right? Obviously with proper maintenance, but that goes for any car. I'm finding a pretty decent amount of C8 Corvette Stingrays with pretty high mileage, 50, 60, 70, 80,000 miles. I don't think I have seen one over 100,000 miles, which could be a slight cause for concern. But I will say you never really see supercars at 100,000 miles. I don't think I've ever seen a Lamborghini Huracan with 100,000 miles on it. So in terms of reliability, I'm checking that box because the C8 Corvette Stingray, I seem to find examples at or above the average mileage of other supercar, like entry-level supercars, if you will. For the interior, you know, on this speaker right here, I noticed a little bit of buzzing at times. I do hear a little bit of like rattling. Can you hear that? The seat's going back and forth a little bit. You know, in a different C8 Corvette that I drove, some of the buttons were starting to really like stick down in there. So that was a bit annoying. I haven't seen or noticed or heard of any like electronic issues, like with this or the infotainment screen. This all works very, very well, by the way. It feels like you're just using your phone. And then again, comparing that to like a McLaren 570S, guys, when I was picking up the Ferrari Portofino to review, that guy also has a McLaren 570S, and the car like broke when I was there. The typical McLaren, I guess, but you call those supercars, and they break all the time. So I would say this is certainly far more reliable than a McLaren 570S. Is it as reliable, sorry, not reliable, but build quality wise? Is it as well built as a Huracan, as a Ferrari 488? Don't have enough data or information to say yes. I do have a couple, like the things I've noticed with the C8 Corvette, I think I have enough information to say it is subpar compared to a Huracan and compared to the 488. You're not going to hear rattling. You're not going to really have sticky buttons in that level of car. And so, yes, build quality wise, if you're spending 4 times more than what you would to buy this car and instead to get a 488 or Huracan, all in all, the build quality and the feel and the materials, you're going to notice it's going to be more consistent, more reliable. It's going to be better. I've seen some C8 Corvette owners talk about some bubbling on the dash. There's water, moisture actually getting into the headlights up front. Nothing substantial that is a like massive cause for concern reliability wise, but you are going to see some things on the C8 Corvette where it's like, okay, $60K for absurdly good performance. It is almost too good to be true. It is true. It is true. But again, there are some things like that where it's like, okay, you're not going to be running into those issues with a Huracan, with a Ferrari 488. So build quality is subpar. I would not classify the build quality as a supercar, just from my experience with the C8 Corvette. Sorry about that. GoPro died or overheated, of course. Happens every video. Yeah, so build quality wise, I'm gonna give this a no in terms of that. But next, exclusivity, guys. When you think or when you hear the word supercar, what do you think of naturally? Do you apply a price point to the word supercar, or do you apply certain performance metrics to the word supercar? And that's really where this debate is, because a lot of people, when they hear supercar, they're like, oh, any car above $250,000. I don't think that's fair. I think, sure, price can play a factor into determining if something is a supercar, but I wouldn't say that's the end-all, be-all. That truck did not care about that BMW. I wouldn't say that's the end-all, be-all. Maybe you hear supercar and you think, okay, 0 to 60 time, cornering ability, Nürburgring time, and that is how you classify a supercar. I think both are valid. Although I would apply much more weight to the performance than I would to just using price as a way to classify something as a supercar. But what about the exclusivity of the car? Not just price, but the amount of cars, the production, if you will, or the amount that you can plan on spotting in a given month of driving your own car and looking for something out on the road. There's a ton of these. So many C8 Corvettes. It's great for community. It's great for knowing that, hey, these are on the road, these are reliable, these are such great cars that they're a very common choice, but it's not going to feel very exclusive if you own this car. And that is one of the things that would hold me back from buying a C8 Corvette myself is I do love the exclusivity factor. It's why I actually bought the Maserati Gran Turismo, aside from its gorgeous looks and beautiful sounds that it makes. It's that I knew I was never going to see another one out on the road. Like I was going to be, I was able to drive and like, you know, people kind of bless people's eyes with seeing something you never ever see. Nice little C7 right there. But I do want to say, despite this being as common of a car as it is, I am pretty shocked by how much excitement this creates just driving on the road. How many car people look at you, wave at you, how many average people, by average I just mean non-car people, look at this thing and possibly think it's a supercar or some like $1 million car because it has a $1 million design. It does surprise me how much attention this gets, far more so than I thought it would. So you feel very special driving this thing, even though, yes, it is just a lot more common to see these driving out and about. Very nice G-Wagon right there. So exclusivity, no, not even close. This would not classify as a supercar there, and that's a difficult one because I think in the equation of what makes a car a supercar, geez, I mean, I would apply 20 to 30% of the weight on the part of that equation that is exclusivity. If something is very attainable in terms of its price point and also very common and very high in its production number, that you know, that pulls down the supercar argument a lot. The problem is, though, I just don't know how important that is to everybody, right? Clearly it is important because so many people say this is not a supercar. But seriously, guys, if performance is how you measure whether something is a supercar or not, and looks is how you measure it as well, you have the right to call this a supercar in your own mind. But again, using like the societal equation for if it's a supercar, you do have to factor in exclusivity, price point, production units, all of that. And with that, it does lead to the argument that this is not a supercar. Same with the Z06, because you can apply the same thing to the Z06. It's just sad because it is so much better than so many other supercars. Why would I spend $150,000 more to get something just to be more rare? I get it. I mean, I guess maybe I would if I had a ton of money. But if I don't have a ton of money, how much am I going to stress myself out over getting that amount of money or waiting that much longer to be able to buy the Huracan over the C8 Z06 just for the factor of being more rare and exclusive and looking like I have more money? With that being said, guys, please leave your own thoughts in the comments below. Do you call this a supercar? Are my points, opinions, arguments valid? I hope they are. I think they are. That's why I made them. But that's it for this video, guys. I appreciate y'all for watching. What an insane deal for $60,000. I'll say that a million times and apply the same thing to the C8 Z06 as well. Appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you very, very soon in the next video. Peace out.